G'day, ladies and gentlemen, and the Plus community. Welcome back to my channel. I haven't made a video in a very long time. There is a reason for it. I've been monetized for about 2 years, and they kicked off half of my videos. There was some tax thing because I'm not a US citizen. I'm not allowed to take money from, I don't know. It's very complicated stuff. Basically, YouTube didn't want to pay me for my videos, and I said, "If you, I'm not making any videos." Plus, they wanted to tell me what I wasn't allowed to talk about. For instance, the fact that I've received a letter to say that any video I make about the Ukraine and Russia war, um, Putin needs to be the villain. The Ukraine or the Ukrainian president or the Ukraine people are all victims. Um, so when people make Molotov cocktails and uh, the initiative that they take to put in, well, not bubble wrap, but anyway, all kinds of plastic stuff. So it sticks better against the tank when you throw the Molotov cocktail. When people sit and take video clips of how they throw the Molotov cocktail inside of the tank and burn people inside the tank, that's not seen as reactive um, or aggression at all. So I think in all other countries we should be doing those things as well, and YouTube should not be putting it on display for the whole world to see. But I didn't want to talk about that. So what I do want to talk about is the impact of what this war is, and the fact that everybody's talking about the Great Reset. Now, I don't. I'm, to be dead honest, one of the reasons I stopped making videos was because one of my friends told me that my channel is a conspiracy theory channel, um, a tinfoil hat channel. Um, and that actually pissed me off. It seriously upset me because everything that I talk about is, in actual fact, I don't. I read an article and then I talk about the article. And usually I read multiple articles from both sides, from both left, right, and center. And so, it's kind of upsetting for me that people have that sort of mentality. And I think the thing that upset me is that people can't see what's right in front of them. I mean, I made a video probably 6 years ago about the fact that Russia is buying up all the gold, and they're doing it to stabilize their currency. Now, why is the currency at the moment stabilized? Well, they have a measurement. They have gold as a measurement. They have, um, well, they've stopped it. Now Putin is so arrogant and confident that he's decided he's going to allow people to trade in the US dollar and in whatever currency they want to. But he literally forced people to trade in his currency. 80% of trades had to be in his currency, 20% could be in any other currency. So in other words, and he's got trade agreements with India, with Pakistan, with China. I think they were working on one with India. It wasn't in place yet, or it wasn't, because the banks need to hold just as much cash as they trade. So it's a bit of a difficult one. It's not an easy one um, to handle, specifically when you have a country like Pakistan, who's basically bankrupt and falling on its ass. India's a bit better off. It's a very up and coming um, uh, third world country. I mean, they are doing well. They've got one of the biggest armies. They've got like 1.4 million people. So you've got like soldiers that you can just push in there the whole time. There's enough people. You can do what Stalin did, just put a tank at the back, or a gunny at the back, and then you give one guy a rifle and 3 bullets, and then the other guy just the magazine. And as the guy runs and he shoots and he dies, the other guy needs to pick up the gun and change and then shoot, and that's how they work. And if they run backwards, then Stalin's guys shoot them from the back, their own people. So history's fucked up, but this is the truth. This is the stuff that happens. This is this is your leaders. These are the kind of people that 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 you guys are inviting, not even into your lives. You're inviting them to rule your lives. Anyway, so let's get back to that. So Russia, one of the biggest oil and natural gas exporters in the world, or crude oil. I'm not sure if it's crude oil, normal oil. I know that they've got um, Corona oil. Corona, that sound weird now. Yes, from the Corona flower, not Corona oil as in COVID oil. No, no, Corona, like cooking oil. Yeah, biggest exporter of that, and one of the biggest exporters of that. Grain, like you saw over there. Now, what happened in South Africa, and this is why I wanted to talk about that specific article, is South Africa used to be a net exporter on grain, and somewhere along the line they screwed up so badly that okay. So let's get back to that. So what happened with the grain is that we imported grain, they kept it in the wrong place, or by the time the grain got to us, it was moldy and wet and rotten. We couldn't do jack shit with it. Okay. So now imagine 60% of the world's grain, okay, is exported by the Ukraine. And I'm not sure if Russia actually has a portion of that anyway, but let's say Russia is not part of it, it is only Ukraine. And let's say the areas that Putin has taken over now doesn't do any of the grain, so we sit with 60% of the grain, but they haven't got ports to send it through, so only 30% of the grain can go. China's buying up grain like crazy, like mad. So if they fuck up somewhere and they decide that they're going to store it incorrectly in an incorrect manner, then they be going all our food. Okay, that's the first thing. Okay, second thing, they're going to hoard it. So in other words, let's hold back a little bit so we can get the price up, because China is also in trouble. For those of you who don't know, and Xi Jinping decided he wants zero corona in his country. So he locked down the whole country. Some people weren't able to get groceries. So he's got a strong competitor in from his own party, which is at the moment standing up and talking about economic policy and those kinds of things. And I don't think that Xi Jinping is very happy about it, but this person doesn't talk about the lockdown. He talks about economic prosperity. So at the moment, there is a problem in China with finances and those kinds of things and manufacturing. And that's a huge problem for the rest of the world. Um, can't buy that TV that you wanted, so badly wanted that big screen, 80 watts, 84 centimeter. So in other words, we're sitting with a country who's buying up the grain that's basically bankrupt. the country, the country that has the grain can't export the grain because I don't know why. Um, let's say Russia has some of the grain. They can't export it because the NATO forces will not allow the shipping companies to get into their harbors. So what have we got here? We've got a self-created crisis of, or a government. It's a government, new world order, government, people, ego. I don't know what you want to call it. I mean, maybe it is a tinfoil hat conspiracy or something like that. I think it's just egos. Zelensky, personally, I think is an arrogant piece of shit. He should be taken out of his position, not violent and so on, like they tried with Putin. I mean, I remember they were laughing about Putin sitting so far away from all these people that work for him. But then it came out a couple of months back. It came out last week, the week before that, that a couple of months back, there was an assassination attempt on Putin's life. I think last week it came out that he had to go for some very secret surgery, which they think was cancerous, and he had to go for that. And he was up and running between the soldiers again very quickly, so obviously it wasn't that bad. Um, but you find these kinds of things kind of funny when they talk about Putin. That's a freak because he doesn't want people to sit close to him. But I mean, if you have an underlying condition like cancer, you wouldn't want anybody with COVID coming close to you. That's the first thing. Second thing, if you've had somebody that tried to assassinate you, you're not going to let a lot of people come very close to you. So, and that's it. From my side, we didn't have water for about a year and a half in South Africa, or very minimal water. So all our grass died. It had a huge impact on 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 specifically our area, which is wine and grapes, and yeah, we live in the Boland area, which is anything from tomatoes to oranges to I mean, we are sort of like the bread and butter of South Africa. So we've been through that. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is we've been in a situation where there isn't water, where there isn't something critical, and the people that suffer are the poor people, okay, and your middle class person, because your middle class person will now drop down to your poor person, because this is what people don't understand. It's not always your rich that's rich. Your rich will go down to middle class, and your middle class guy can go up to rich, and your middle class person can go down to poor. And you know, so it's a constant fluctuation of people and the positions that they're in. So middle class is where your economy is driven from. So, and if they the guys that spend money on food, on sweets, on TVs, on whatever computers, they're the guys that keep your economy alive. As soon as you got inflation, coming into play. As soon as you have situations where they drop down from middle class to lower class because of the the price of things becoming so much that they can't spend, where they could spend half of their salary on food, and you have like 25% to spend on eating out or buying TVs or whatever. Now they're going to be in a minus 25% because they only have 50% to live off, and there is no extra money. So there's no, they start cancelling life policies, they can start cancelling medical aids. It's ridiculous. It's a cycle you don't want to see happen in your country. And so we've sat without water for a year and a half, and it was bad. I mean, we had to stand in lines to get water because you were only allowed to take a certain amount of water out of your taps. What they did is they locked out. I don't actually know a lot about that because uh, well, I'm not a civil engineer and I'm not that super intelligent. But they locked down the water, so the water would just basically drizzle basically a little bit. So and what we do is we shower and catch up the water and then use that water for flowers. We would use washing. Um, we'd have two washing machines and we'd washing in the one machine and then spin in another machine and take all of that water and use that water 3 times for washing. So it's a bit of a change in attitude, and I don't think too many people will die. I do think it's going to be a crisis, especially for people who like bread, because you're going to have to eat fruit. Yeah, I do think, I honestly think that people with links and direct trade relationships with China will be fine, um, and with Russia, they will be fine. I think that the US economy is going to tank because it is, like it's called, the um, the the US fuel currency or the fuel currency. They talk about the American dollar as the currency that is um, basically held up by the fact that, or made strong by the fact that it's used in trade in oil. And now, since Biden stopped being a net exporter of oil and killed all those jobs and stopped the pipeline and stopped wrecking, and now you're still in a situation where there's now again a dependency on other countries and shit that they're not learning with with China, where and after I think Donald Trump brought this to light is the world's dependency on China to do things, and it's not. And now it's proven that it's not just um, China; it's the Ukraine. Nobody's sustainable. No country's self-sustainable. We all get stuff from other countries. Um, I mean, South Africa. I mean, we've got some of the best. We really have some of the best ground to grow. Um, um, you know, grow any kind of fruit, anything, and yet we import wheat from the Ukraine because we're not self-sustainable. Now, countries need to fucking start looking after themselves, yeah, and say, "Whoa, we are giving out money to other countries like it's going out of crazy, and we are causing we are really causing problems for people with that can't have food. So, because that's the next crisis. The next crisis is going to be water in the rest of the world. Not, and that's not because of climate change and shit like that. There's a cycle that runs every 7 years where you have, and you can go and track it. Uh, it's been studied and it's been proven by a lot of scientists that specialize in that crap. So there's like every 7 yearly cycle, then there's a 100-year cycle or 90-year cycle, and all of these things comes with um, water shortages, um, heat. Um, and I'm not saying there isn't such a thing as climate change because that's another violation of the terms of service of YouTube. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it is a possibility for the rest of the world because we in South Africa have experienced it. Because what did we want to do? We wanted to keep the people happy in South Africa. So we built them houses. By building them houses, what we did is we didn't calculate the fact that they will be drinking more water and using more water. So government stupidity. That's all I have to say.